Most people say you should buy the car that you want. The car that you want to drive at its maximum power. Here at Cenos Tuning, we believe in making the car that you want. We believe in building the car that you want. As you will know, most of you who are Audi enthusiasts, you know that these cars don't come from factory with such parts. So because of this, what happens is that we tend to spend some time during our free time. We look at how to improve the cars. We look at how to get a better 0 to 100 time. We look at how to get to a quarter mile faster than an ordinary SQ5 B9 would. And in the famous words of Jeremy Clarkson, but we will remake it. People who own fast cars get to where they are going to quicker. Anyway, this is us with Cenos Mirage. We will take you through the different phases that we went through before we got to doing our quarter mile time that you know of, and before we got to doing the several race performances that you managed to witness in 2025. As you can see, this is 2026, and just to confirm that it is not a fudged time or date, you can see the time is set to be automatic via GPS. And just to confirm as well, this is the same time in New York. So this is 2026. We did most of these things in 2025, and in 2026 we still do have the record for the fastest SQ5 B9 in Africa. It is the fastest SQ5 B9 at high altitude so far, recorded, verified and tested using GPS meters. It is the fastest SUV in East Africa, and we think that list can stop there for now. As a daily, this car is used with its regular wheels, as you can see. It is still a daily driving car. You can see it still starts up, it still fires up. We have full weight here. We drive around with the seats, as you can see. Yeah, we have a fully functioning sunroof that is open, as you can see. And this is generally how an SQ5 B9 looks like. You can come and show the dashboard to the viewers who've never really maybe seen how an SQ5 B9 looks like. You can see the digital dashboard. You can also see your non-touch infotainment screen in the middle. And that's about it. It has nice lights as well, but unfortunately we can't show you that now because it is daytime. But we can speak a little bit about how this car works, maybe some things that we did. We will take you through them in phases so that you can get to see. The first thing we ever did on this car was to upgrade the cold air intake. And in upgrading the cold air intake, we managed to get two things: a more interesting intake sound and which we shall actually include a note whether from before we did it or now. before, sorry, we upgraded the turbo, or back then when we were running just the stock turbo, but with this intake. And we then included a turbo inlet. Here, we can show you, we also upgraded the intercooler. And the intercooler on here was upgraded to a larger one so that we can be able to flow colder air, to feed colder air into the engine. So this is what you saw us fitting when we did our video that you know of.
34 Motorsport Super Duper intake bundle.
It has the cold air intake. It also has a turbo inlet hose. The turbo inlet hose, considering we're running the stock turbo, it is ideally meant to be stock compatible. So it has the O-ring that facilitate, or rather the stock turbo adapter. So this is the actual first unbox of it. Never unboxed it before. Here we have the heat shield, or we have a heat shield. It's carbon fiber, as you can see. This is how the finish looks like. 034 badge right here for authenticity and genuineness. So we'll just place this aside.
This kit provides optimized airflow all the way from the intake to the throttle body. As opposed to the stock system, these aluminum hoses and most of the hoses in the kit are 67 millimeters in size. The stock comes in at just around 63.5 millimeters. Aside from that, there's also shape restrictions that affect flow depending on the power that you're making. So we'll end up giving you a glimpse into the difference in shape between these hoses and the factory ones. As you can see, you have hosing for the intercooler section. This kit specifically works with the Race Series FDS, or rather with the Race Series intercooler though. So if you were to pick the stock FDS system, you'd likely have a size difference there. So as you can see, S4, S5, B9 works plug and play. With the SQ5, we just need to do some slight retrofits.
So this is the heat shield, if we can call it so. This is the supplied cotton filter. It's 5 inches in terms of size or in terms of width. It has its related fitting there. So I'll just put this aside. Here is the turbo inlet. So the turbo inlet comes with the adapter supplied. So this, when we were choosing it, we chose the stock turbo adapter because we are not running the TTE turbos, any of the larger turbos yet. This turbo inlet, the benefit is that it enables you to retain the factory OEM hose. It also enables you to retain access to using a stock turbocharger, and it also enables you to still retain having the factory harnesses around it the way they were. This is the silicone hose supplied with it. They supply 4 or 5 ply silicone hoses. I think it's 4. So at least normally it's guaranteed to last someone, a good amount of time before you need to replace it. So this basically goes through that, and we'll show you once it's finally installed into the car. The box also comes with this mounting bracket. This mounting bracket is meant to be used with this intake. with this, with the intake system, generally around the heat shield. So that's the unboxing for this. We'll show you once it's fitted back onto the car. A measurement of the stock turbo inlet. We'll just take a measurement of the internal diameter. So the internal diameter of the stock turbo inlet is just around 2.4 inches. So this is a direct comparison of the stock versus the upgraded intercooler or the race series. That right there is the race series. This is the stock intercooler. We'll give, considering we've done measurements for the race series, we'll do for the stock. So one thing that we'll point out beforehand is that this stock intercooler is actually significantly lighter than the race series intercooler. However, for the loss that we get in terms of additional weight on the race intercooler, we are ideally supposed to make up for it in terms of power. Well, that's technically going to be fun, but there's that. Then on this, the stock intercooler is just slightly larger, slightly longer, as you can see. So we'll do actual measurements, then we show you the actual difference from a scientific perspective or from a mathematical perspective. Length is listed at 19.4 inches. For this, we've had to use a tape measure, so you can actually see it's actually relatively correct. So the height then must be 23.4. So these are the charge pipes that we've gotten to work with the IE race intercooler. This intercooler series is built for the B9s, but it's designed to be more plug and play for the B9S4, the B9S5. As we mentioned before, on the Audi SQ5 B9, it's going to be more of a retrofit. However, we're up for the task, so at least we know we'll be able to get them done. There are two aluminum charge pipes included with this kit. We'll try open them up for you here just so you can see. This is one of them, and this is the larger one. It's like unboxing a present, yeah? So here are our packaging. So this goes on the right-hand drive cars. This is on the co-driver side, so it's on the left side of the car. And a map sensor basically sits here. So such things are the types of things that you upgrade once you start pushing. Way more boost through the system. However, the stock system handles around 2 bar without much issue. So 2 bar of pressure, give or take, that's around 30 pounds of boost. So there's that. Then these are the supporting hoses that are to be fitted to the throttle on this upper side and on this lower side towards the intercooler itself. We also have clamps applied. So this is how the set basically looks like. You can see here, throttle body silicone. So this is what will typically go on this side. So we'll keep you updated. So this is an image of the charge pipe on the driver's side, us call it the driver's side. That's all pipe. As you can see there. Up sensor. That's to be upgraded better once you go larger turbo or more boost.
So here we'll show you our intercooler that we installed in order to feed colder air into the engine. As you will know, in this part of the world we tend to have very soiled roads, so you can't always expect it to be pitch dark, but that's how it sits. That's how it sits on a daily. And yeah, generally we then moved to upgrading the turbo, which sits under there, the downpipe, and several other things that we will show you. Now, in this video, one of the things that we will do is to show you a very realistic journey, because in the journey of builds, at times you get to have some small setbacks. For example, with this car, we had a slight fender bender just before we started our mods. We had collected all our mods, got a fender bender, had to deal with the fender bender first, just regular road issues, nothing to do with the driver, and that took a while. So by the time we were starting out on the modding, we got a bit delayed, and one of the things that did was made our debut get pushed forward.
So this is the first startup after the installation. No errors. Car feels stable. Rather, the idle feels stable. Remember, we are running a stock tune on the car, so basically it's not factoring in all that increased airflow and such things. So of course, on idle, the car doesn't realize per se that it has ability to flow way more air than stock, but let's wait and see how that goes. So I'll be honest, prior to this exact moment, we were expecting to be able to finish earlier, but as it seems, almost all these SQ5 B9 builds, especially for when you're doing them the first time, you end up taking quite some good amount of hours. So anyway, we have our cold air intake installed, super duper. We have the turbo inlet as well. And we have the intercooler. You can see it from there, sitting pretty. It's going to be time to test now when we get onto the road.
We started this journey in 2024 with a vision to push the B9 platform. And for the record, being this fast while staying a daily driver is just about efficiency. It goes from 0 to 100 real quick, and to the supermarket even quicker.
washer.
Since 2024, this rear view has been, in the famous words of Lukman and George of Turbo Tales,
Nyinyi watu mnakumbuka hii gari? Mwezi kumbuka hivi, kuja nionyeshe bwana, mtakumbuka aje? Si gari iliyopiga magaps. Mlikula gaps na hii gari bwana, kuja muone hii gari bwana. Check hiyo.
Sasa inakaa familia.
Sasa this is now familiar to you. Mnakumbuka hizi taa? Mbele mwezi kumbuka juu mlikuwa na nyoroshwa, mnaachwa. Yani gari SUV naacha hivi.
the welcome view that most people who have tried racing this car on the drag strip have gotten. As you shall see, in its first debut, when we were running our stage 1 plus tuning, you shall see a couple of passes that we did on the track against a BMW X3 that should have been custom stage 2 tuned, but may have been stage 1. If we talk about races, if we take you through races, one of the first races, for example, we wanted to do with this car was the Tanzanite TT, which was held in Arusha, Tanzania, which is still in East Africa. It's south of Kenya, if you check on the maps. And what happened was we went all the way to the venue, drove all the way there with all our equipment ready to do things in a different country that was meant to be exciting for both the people there and back home, because people always follow through these things. And we went there on the day of the event. We do a pass all the way on the opposite side. We get a 10.96 second pass. Granted, that pass was not validated by the satellites because of the coverage in the area, and it was a cloudy day. But from how, if you ever sit in cars long enough, you can be able to know what is a legitimate 10-second pass, what is a legitimate 11-second pass, 12 seconds, 13, so on and so forth. Even a 9-second pass, even an 8 and 7-second pass. So we did a 10.96 second pass on that day with weight, because we were testing on the opposite side, away from the track, because that was just before the track got opened. And we went to the track, set up our equipment, just waiting for the race to start. And finally, it got to the point where the marshal said that they wanted to test their timing equipment. And subsequently, we will then be able to test our car on track. Guess what happens? As you will know, the launch procedure is, or as many of you will know, the launch procedure is put your foot on the brake after, of course, engaging, setting up the various driving systems in the required states for the launch control activation. Put your foot on the brake, put your foot on the accelerator pedal all the way in for both in that sequence, and you wait a bit for your boost to build up, then you release the brake pedal and you go. In our case, we started staging very well. Lights turn red, the counter starts, so it's 10, 9, 8, 7, etc, etc. And I remember the pedal on the brake was all the way depressed in, so was the accelerator. But then, and we started building boost, but 3 seconds in, the car let go. And I remember thinking, asking myself quickly, because normally you gauge very many things when you're driving these cars for a race. Had we overboosted? Like, had we held the boost for so long? Maybe our brakes were weak, that the car started letting loose before the time we expected it to. But we realized the pedal had sunk all the way in. And people outside didn't know what had happened. All they knew was that we had tripped the laser. So obviously you depress the accelerator pedal and you start trying to communicate to the people outside that there's an issue. You can also see there was a marshal who was trying to signal because he got the signal. And the guy on the left goes because either he was impatient or he just didn't get the signal. We have people look under the car. What do they see? A huge pool of brake fluids.
I realized that this is an accident due to their vehicle which have no brakes.
Right underneath the car. Then I think we just knew we had a very huge issue to sort out. We hoped it was maybe a line that had gotten disconnected or something, which logically does not make sense. But you know, you normally hope for the quickest way out. Only to realize that, as you can see on the video now, we were spewing brake fluid right from the brake line anytime brake pressure was applied. And being very many kilometers away from home, it was a very big issue for us, because this is not a car that is regularly available whether in Kenya or Tanzania, or at least not back then. So getting parts, because this is not a car whose parts are easily available around, especially not parts like that tend to have failures. So we knew right there and then that we were cooked. So what we did, we started thinking of solutions. We started trying to see, sometimes you try your luck, you see what happens. Well, let's just say we didn't end up being lucky. We had to bang 2 sections of the brakes system to avoid fluid loss and to avoid damage to all the other brake assemblies, because 3 wheels were not affected. 1 wheel was primarily affected. And from there we got back home slowly. Got back home, got a different brake line. Fast forward, we now looked forward to the next race, which was an 8-mile race. This next race was held in Machakos, which is a county or a region in Kenya. And it was an 8-mile race, so that means it was shorter. And that means it was more ideal for cars that are very nippy, and those tend to primarily be smaller cars. Regardless, we decided to show up, and we brought this the way you can see it now. Okay, minus the wheels, of course. And we gave a good showing. You can see several of the videos there. They are very strong contenders. Cars that launch very hard. For example, there are cars from Rupal Racing. There are several other cars. However, in the end, this car was consistent enough, reliable enough, strong enough to get first position, which we had known it was going to get. Even in the Tanzanian race, we were actually going to get first position. So with that said, we ran our race. We decided to take a break on the racing. And here we are now giving you the slow narration of how things got to that level, and the record itself that you will be able to see on the videos. That's been it on the journey of the Cenos Mirage build. We shall decide whether we shall do an enhancement of the record with this car or with another car, maybe on a different platform. Stay Cenos tuned.
It seems the glow from within your eyes is gone. I never knew they could also light fire gone. How can a heart just forget what's kept in stone? I need to know, must I live in this lonely road? Good.